started to record already.
We'll just jump right into it. This is Eric Swahn, Racing.com podcast, and we have Andres Jaramillo with us today. Hope I said that right. And
Yep.
this is podcast 103. So thanks for coming on, talking to me for about an hour or so today. I actually did one earlier with a mystery guest, so I won't release the name yet. But by this time this is released, it should already be out.
Cool.
So how are you doing today?
Good, man. Just looking forward to talking to you.
Yeah, so are you a normal podcaster? Is this your first time?
First time. Yep. First time.
So we actually met at Jackson Speedway.
Yep.
I believe it's Jackson, Michigan, I would assume. And
That's right.
Michigan, about an hour and a half west of me. I'm in Sterling Heights. And we did a supermoto track day together and just kind of started talking, and I think we could get some good content out of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So what kind of bike are you riding at the racetrack now?
Currently, I basically made my own bike out of a bunch of different components from different bikes. So it's basically a pit bike, small frame, so like based off of a CRF 110,
Okay.
and then I put a 25 horsepower Daytona engine in it, and it's got 12-inch wheels and fully adjustable suspension, front and rear, floating rotors. But I haven't really ridden much. The bike is in Florida. I'm in Indiana, and I don't have it with me. So when we met, actually, I was riding Keaton Davis XR 100, which was, I guess, somebody else's XR 100 from before. so yeah, it's
And how do you like riding the XR 100 on the pavement or the dirt?
It's a lot of fun. I think it's definitely something that you need to get used to. The drum brakes. The drum brakes have, how can I say this? It's a real learning experience, okay? Because you have brakes for the first 2 laps, and then after that, there's no emergency brake. So if you didn't get your braking done before then, or cautiously done, you're gonna end up running into people. Which the last race, actually, I run into someone, and fortunately, neither of us two went down. But it's kind of embarrassing,
Yeah,
Like
it's not ideal.
you squeeze the lever with everything you got, and nothing happens.
So you get like extreme brake fade.
Yeah, so because it's a drum, so basically a drum is like circular, and so the pads put pressure and friction against it. So once that gets hot, it actually increases, so the pad doesn't actually make contact with it. So that's the reason why it just doesn't break. It's not because it fades, it's just the drum expands and the pressure is not the same, so it doesn't slow down.
Sounds like a problem.
Yeah. Well, that's why modern bikes have disc brakes and no drum brakes, right?
I gotcha. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
a progression of technology. And on my stock Kawasaki KLX 300 Supermoto, that's a completely stock bike. Not a single part has been changed by me. I think just the mirrors. He added some bark guards around
Hmm.
the handlebars, kind of like a lever guard there, and saves you if you hit a tree. And they have integrated
Yeah,
mirrors.
mirrors. Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty cool.
It's the first
Yeah.
time I've ever had mirrors on a racetrack on a
You
motorcycle.
know, I mean, you might need them because your bike is so quiet.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you can't hear me coming
Nope.
coming up on you when I'm come to make a pass, which could be a problem. But as long as you make the pass clean, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I'm just messing with you now. It's not a problem at all. But yeah, it's cool to have them, especially the way yours has it, because it's like inside the guard. So technically that's legal. You can still see around, right? But that's not kind of. I mean, it doesn't provide you like a lot of. Maybe in the highway you cannot really see anything, right?
Yeah, I don't rely on my mirrors. I always do a firm head check just to
Right.
make sure there's no mystery car next to me.
Is that legal in Michigan? Because I know in Florida you have to have at least the right hand side mirror because
Yeah,
yeah.
you have to have at least one mirror. So I keep
Mhm.
them on there, and I do glance at them every once in a while. But yeah, I was trying to use my mirrors a little bit to see who's behind me, and it's really hard because it goes so quickly, and it's just like a tiny circle. It's not that big of
Yeah.
a space. Um,
Well, and in top of that, the track is so tight. If you look away for a second, you're off your line.
yeah, you don't have much
That,
time to be looking in your mirrors.
yeah. Even looking back during the race, I find myself looking back and I was like, oh my god, where am I going?
Yeah, I had that conversation with a racer, and he was saying, no matter what, he never looks back. He's like, I got a pit board. That's what I never need to look back. But in the past, I at some certain tracks, I would try to look back once a lap to try to get a feel of the land to see what it's like. Because I never had a pit board. I never had somebody at pit lane telling me. Sometimes they'd say like this, like you're really close, or you got a big gap with your arms wide. But that's all you'd kind of get.
Right, right. I mean, yeah, for guys like us, I guess we never go with enough people to tell you, hey, you got somebody in your tail or not.
Yeah.
So looking back is the only resource you have to kind of gauge whether somebody's coming after you or not.
But he was telling me he never looks back because imagine if you're in a full tuck versus anything different is going to be reducing your potential top speed. You're going to be reducing your aerodynamics. If you turn your head, that's added aerodynamics it's going to slow you down. So he's like, it'll be 3 thousandths of a second slower, but it'll still be slower.
I think with regards of that, if you have to look back, there's got to be a mechanical reason, right? Or maybe your body's not feeling well. Maybe you have a cramp and you're just trying to manage just to finish the race or something like that, right? So you might want to look back and see, okay, somebody's coming after me. Maybe I want to move away. Um, I don't know,
Yeah,
something like that, right?
if you're not at pace, you should definitely look around and see what's going on behind you. But
Yeah.
even then, if you're holding your line and you have a good pace, the leader should be able to get around you. But some organizations don't use the blue flags, so it's just
Sometimes it's hard to see them too,
yeah, it's just
like,
gentleman's agreement at that point.
right. And you don't want to be the casualty of something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a big background in motorcycles. It sounds like you have a shop in Florida. You build motorcycles. Tell me a little bit
Yep.
about that.
Yeah. So I'm an engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I've been an engineer for almost a decade now. And most of my experience with that has been working in the aerospace industry. Now I work in the automotive industry. And during COVID, things aligned themselves to have a little bit of an opportunity to have a shop that does maybe um, maybe we're still trying to find what we do. But one thing is for certain, I do the bikes how I want them to be done, and I do a lot of experimentation. So the speed bike that I intend to race here pretty soon, it's 100% parts that were made to fit to this frame, to specific rake angles that I wanted to specific length, to specific overall sag, to specific wheel to wheel length, and specific amount of power and braking power, and even where the controls are positioned is all made by me. Just to try to experiment with that a little bit. So it's provided me that flexibility. We do a little bit of restoration, so older bikes. Uh, you know, Currently I have a 1973 Moto Guzzi 850. It's 80% there is basically brand new. It has, I think, like 6,000 miles, but like brand new motor. Like
Okay.
all the internals are brand new.
Yeah. So it
You
sounds
know?
like you do a little bit of street riding, a little bit of track riding, a little bit of supermoto.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's kind of what the shop focuses is just to um, keep entertained with motorcycles.
Yeah, if you can make money
Yeah.
around your hobby or your passion, how great is that?
Well, that's pretty hard to do. And I know you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, even though I'm selling thousands of dollars every month, it's still really difficult and not quite profitable, I'd say. And I just need more. It's
Yep.
not it's not discouraging, but it's like, I thought I'd be there by now, but it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
Rome wasn't built in a day, and there's a lot of ways to peel banana. So there's a lot of ways to make
Right.
money. There's not a right or wrong way. Um, it's sometimes frustrating seeing some of my friends seem like they're thriving, and I'm not. I'm still selling more than I've ever sold, I'd say, but it's just like it's not enough. What is the magical number? I don't know. But a lot of businesses are like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think making a living out of motorcycles and the surroundings, it's pretty challenging. Like if you so you specifically for you that you sell like parts, through your website and stuff like that. We're talking about that at the racetrack. There's going to be a percentage that has to go to you, but nowadays people want to shop everywhere, and sometimes they find those deals that is your margins, right? But like, without that little margin, it's not huge,
Oh no, it's
it's
not a lot.
it's less than 10% for a lot of things. And so, you're putting all this work and effort and like uh, being educated about parts and educating people, and then they go and find it somewhere else. So it's like a little discouraging,
That's all right.
Uh,
Hopefully, I'll just do the best I can with trying to educate people on the different items that are available and what can help them fit their need. Because there's always, the best part and then the average part or something in between. And just because it's like the best tire out there on the market doesn't mean it's always the best tire for you. You
right,
know,
right, right,
or, same thing with helmets and helmet shape and head shape. So you just have to find what's best for the customer, not what's best for the salesman, right?
right. I think that has to do a lot with like sales integrity, right? Like you're not trying to sell volume, like 100 different or 100 units per day or something like that. But when you sell something, you really are hoping that the customer really uses it and enjoys the product, not just like, oh, we sold you something, okay, just go away until whenever you're ready to buy something else, right? It's a little more involved than that.
Yeah, for sure. And I always try to include stickers and business cards and a little packing slip and all that has your inventory, what you purchased, and all that. So a little note at the bottom. So I try to make a little stamp on it, and you get emails, your follow up emails and all that. So try to have the whole package, but it's always things to improve on. I've been right 2 seconds before I came over here. I was like, oh no, it's almost time. I gotta go. I gotta stop what I'm doing. I'm working on uploading new products all the time. I mean, we have access to over 10,000 unique SKUs, unique products,
Hmm.
between motorcycle, road racing, car parts, mountain bike parts, a little bit of motocross, parts and gear to wear and to use on your bike, and all stuff around the pits and tools. Um, and so I was just working on another couple brands, and it's like I just didn't have enough time to upload it yet. But
Yeah,
trying to fix like some of the vendors are getting really good with adding weight and dimensions into their inventory files, so
yeah, for shipping.
we don't have to guess,
Right.
what it actually is. And then so I used to have to for some vendors save every picture individually from their website and then put it into my FTP service, make a URL for it, and then put it in for the item. And now some vendors are just giving me their URL for the image. I don't have to do any of that stuff anymore. So
Hmm.
it's helping
That's handy.
reduce time, as we're getting
Yeah.
better at doing it and all the
Hmm.
different processes. So it's still like a pain in the butt. Sometimes eBay's shipping profiles are glitching. They have been glitching for like the last, I don't know, 6 months to a year, it seems like. And so I'll go in, I just did it twice today where I go through all my shipping profiles. And like I'm trying to get rid of free shipping, unfortunately, because the cost of everything is rising. And these are coming from different warehouses. They're not always at my location. So it's saying free shipping and then $5 pickup, local pickup. I'm like, no, it's not here. I can't have it say that. So I'm just trying to fix it, and then eBay's it glitches back and it changes. Like, oh, this is so frustrating.
Yeah.
But that's like what you got to go through sometimes is just figuring out how to fix it, even when the program is messed up. Like I still have to fix it, so maybe I have to just
Yeah.
delete all the policies and start over. I don't know what the fix is yet.
All right.
But I'm just working with my inventory management team and just trying to fix all these, different issues and upload all the products we have access to.
Hmm.
I think about maybe a third or less of the products we have access to are actually listed online for sale, because it just we come into these issues, and it just takes a long time with one person. So
Yeah.
I don't have a team of people working for me, unfortunately. I have some people helping out here and there, but it's mainly just me. I wear a lot of different hats.
That's what owning a business is, right? Wearing all the hats, doing everything.
For sure. But if you
Yeah.
didn't do that, you didn't go through all the processes, you wouldn't actually know how things work.
Yeah. 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 You cannot just hire, immediately your profits go away. You hire someone and it's like, wait, am I paying you how much and nothing is getting done or not as fast enough? It's losing money. Like, why?
Yeah, you
Right?
got to be
Yeah.
meticulous with it. It seems like
Yeah.
you're obsessing sometimes, but I think it's kind of important.
Yeah. And people don't really understand because everybody knows how to work for somebody and how to milk the system to, do the least amount while still getting the same pay. Well, when you have a really small business, it doesn't work like that. You have to do everything.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just, a second closer to get underwater.
Yeah, but for a long time, I was just, coming home playing video games. I didn't have something I could really come home and work on that could potentially make me money. So now it's like I can come home and work on my business for another couple hours, and it's like I can actually make a difference. And say I upload, 10 new items tonight.
Hmm.
Um, those could sell tomorrow. They could sell, if the vendor has inventory behind those products, they could keep selling and selling and selling while I sleep. So it's making these product listings that are like job workers for me. They're like little workers out there just being advertised, and if someone wants to buy it, great. I don't have to do much. It's just emails it right to the vendor. They send me tracking information. I just take that tracking number, upload it to the marketplace, and pretty much done. Maybe answer a couple of customer questions. It's like, this is awesome.
Hmm.
I think Warren Buffett said, if you don't figure out how to make money while you sleep, you'll work until you die. And that sounds scary to me. So like, I want to figure out a way to make money.
Yeah.
And
Don't
I'm
we all?
still trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And, all this money just so that you can go racing because we don't want
That's
to
the
just,
idea.
yeah, you don't want to just look at other people race. That's demoralizing from the sideline. So, switching a little bit the topic here. So, it, you rode at Jackson almost, I want to say, probably 4 hours straight. And while there was like the um, podium event or trying to finish the day, people were saying like, he's still riding. So that was pretty funny. I think you really definitely got uh, your money's worth out of that track.
Oh heck yeah! So I'm just trying to get as much seat time as possible.
Yeah.
Um, I timed it actually. I looked at the clock when I went out and when I came in, and I did two separate 1 hour stints out there, uh,
Hmm.
pretty much without stopping. Jeff pulled me over for a quick couple of seconds when I was on the flat track, and he said, "Hey, they're doing the kart track backwards if you want to hit it," because I had talked about that earlier. I was like, "It'd be cool if we tried it backwards, see how it is." So I mentioned that to him, and he pulled me aside. He's like, "Check it out. See what you can do on the kart track backwards." So I went over there, and then
Yeah.
one more session of like I think 35, 33 minutes or something like that. So most people are out there for what, 10, 20 minutes tops.
No, no. I think with these smaller associations, there are a lot of people that were out there for longer periods of time, and then they did the races at nighttime, like the heat races, which those were, I think, like somewhere around 20 minutes.
Okay.
But I think average it was about 20-minute sessions,
Yeah.
and there was nobody telling you if you're in a 50cc, you could still go with the supermoto, right? So
Yeah.
you, like myself, I did session after session after session, even though I was very well aware that the XR100 and the dirt might be somewhat comparable to the skill level, not the bike, but the skill level for the 450s. But the second we left the dirt, was in the back mirror. So I know for a fact that I probably did at least 30-minute sessions times 4 or 5.
That's
So,
good.
but
I
but you definitely did more than anybody, all in one go.
Well, I come from the mentality like if they're not going to call me in, I'm going to stay out there as long as possible until my gas light comes on and I can't ride anymore. Um, I like to try to do endurance. I might not be going 100% the entire time. Might be
Hmm.
doing 90, 85%, just trying to. I mean, I get tired out there, right? My muscles get sore and tired, so I try to ride using different muscles sometimes to try to not fatigue my whole body, so I can stay out there longer. And I really would love to do some endurance racing.
Hmm.
Um, and I've been doing this hot yoga, 90-minute stuff. It's
Hmm.
105 degrees, and you're just standing on a mat. But I did it this morning. I should be doing it tomorrow again, 9 a.m. or so. And it kicks my ass every time, but it makes me stronger and more flexible. And I think it's great for heat conditioning. So when I'm out there and other people are dying at a half hour, I'm like, I'm gonna keep pushing and see how long I can really stay out here and have a good pace and not be just
Hmm.
futzing around and
Hmm.
and just see what I can do out there. And I miss being at the track and doing a lot of laps. So this is a way for me to be out there at a racetrack and be turning some laps. So although it's a 25-second lap around Jackson Speedway, the kart track,
That's
uh,
what it was.
yeah, I was looking at. I posted a couple YouTube videos. The first one I went through and just went by the start finish line and what the time was, and then wrote it down, and then did the math, and then went to the next
Hmm.
lap. Kept doing that.
Yeah, I did something similar, and I did kind of like a one lap because one of the races um, that I signed up for, the XR was a little underpowered, and so after I got third place, I just basically sat there and did nothing else.
Yeah,
So I think the first lap was the most exciting one because you were able to see a little bit of the other two faster riders, uh, at least the start and them going by. And I think the video was like 30 seconds long, including the starting procedure, right? So like you see the guy drops the flag, and so yeah, it's a pretty small track, but it was a lot of fun.
yeah, and I'm happy to say that was my first motorcycle race this year, and first one in a few years actually, since 2015, I think, my first actual motorcycle race on pavement with a 300cc motorcycle. So it was a lot of fun to do. I think I got fifth, and I want to say I started sixth or so. I
Hmm.
moved up to fourth. I went around the outside of one guy in the start. It's a really tight corner there. There's not a whole lot of outside to go, but
Hmm.
it was cool. I could have gotten fourth, but I went wide in that tight chicane or the tight corner after that kind of the longer straight that we have.
Hmm.
Going into the tight uh, tires section. There's not a whole lot of runoff over there, but it's still fun.
Uh, so you're talking about the dirt section too? Is that where you were talking about?
Yeah, where you would
Okay,
turn left or instead go right or straight to the dirt.
yeah, we can show the video. I think you have a video, right? We can just share the screen and show the video.
Oh yeah. Um, Let's see. I've never really done that on a Zoom call before.
Here, let me. What's the name of the video that you're talking about? So you have
Um,
like,
you know how to go to the YouTube channel,
yeah,
ericswanracing.com
yeah,
YouTube?
yeah.
Should
Which
be
one?
there. It should be one of the latest ones.
So you got Great Lakes Supermoto Jackson Speedway. That one is like
Yep, the new
34
one.
minutes. That
Yeah,
one.
sure.
All right. Let me just look at the dirt section here really quick.
Yeah, so unfortunately I didn't get any of the dirt. I only got pavement.
Okay, then let me show you then mine because I do go on the dirt.
Yeah, my camera died. I went out for so long of sessions it died on me, the battery. I didn't bring my charger or an extra battery. But I did get about I think 64 minutes of footage. Not bad.
Wow, it's pretty decent. Let me see. I'm here very quickly looking for it.
Sure, no problem. I was just using
There we go.
I think I traded my GoPro 4 in and I got a rebate, you get some credit back. And then I upgraded and got the GoPro 8 last year for the podcast because I needed an extra camera.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. You'll definitely need something like that. Let me look for the one that goes in the dirt.
Yeah, it was a cool section. So they had three different racetracks. They had the kart track that was pretty short, and then they had the flat track. Not in that order. It goes the motocross track, which has some jumps in it. Some I don't know. Would you call them whoops?
Yeah, like the whoop section. I guess I didn't post that on Facebook, on YouTube, but maybe on Instagram.
And then I wasn't really getting too airborne. I mean, I got a couple feet. I got a couple pictures with me being off the ground, but most of the time I was pretty much on the ground, I'd say. I'm just not super used to be flying on a motorcycle.
Well, yeah, that's one thing, and it was at the beginning the dirt was kind of loose, and so I'd never felt comfortable like charging into the berms. So until very late, like almost Sunday actually, things started to click, and like I was able to slow down at the berm because you have no traction, right? So if you touch the brakes, you're going down, and a lot of people did actually, and you need the speed coming in or taking off from the berm to be able to clear the jump. But the jumps were for a small bike. Again, the XR 100 was entirely too big of a jump for that bike.
Yeah.
I
There's a
think
couple big ones there that they were clearing, like getting 20 feet of air. It looked like I was like, there's two lines. There's the inside and the outside line, and there's the fly low and the fly high. And it was pretty eye-opening to see them how fast they were sending it.
yeah. And what did you come up with? Did you actually? Okay, let me share. So this is Keaton's son. So I took a little clip of him, and he kind of sent a jump and landed, and I think he was saying that his throttle was stuck open, and he just kind of went off to one side. But let me share my screen really quick. So
Yeah.
all you have, it says host disabled participating screen sharing. So so in the middle it says share screen. So you'll be able to
try it now. I just think I changed it.
Okay, here we go. All right, can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So this is, I don't know. Yeah, so this is him, and he just like goes off to the side, right? So that's it was okay,
Up the berm, it looked like.
Yeah, so the left side was pickier than the right side because I guess everybody was taking the right side, and they just basically flattened that lip. But it was like a lip send off, and it was kind of challenging to get done, right? Like that's a really long jump. But anyway, I think he was getting a lot of air, but not a lot of distance.
Yeah, he was doing pretty good. He was he was riding pretty well. I saw a couple times. I was behind him, trying to give him some pointers or like tapping my tail, like follow me real quick.
He's I think this was his first time in the dirt. I think a lot of us this was our first time in the dirt,
Yeah.
But like you have a little bit of mountain biking experience. I also do have a little bit of that, and so these jumps were like not anything special. But no, it's not my bike. I don't want to, abuse it too badly.
Sure. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I was checking out the flat track section, getting on that oval there and just staying on that for a little while. Trying to just do the whole loop because we were only using just half of it to get back onto the main course. But I was trying to do the full thing and just practice doing that. I was getting faster as I kept doing it, more laps. But it's just you can't have much lean angle. You got to be.
No, not at all. Counter leaning a lot. Yeah. And that was a pretty interesting equalizer because in the XR I was just as fast as any 450, and I will come in kind of sliding a little bit and trying to put my weight on the front tire because that's really what's giving you all the direction, right? And that was a lot of fun. I definitely see myself enjoying flat track.
Yeah,
let me show you.
They say steer with the rear, so when you get it into it and you're actually, accelerating harder, you're starting to turn the bike and the bike is, starting to pitch sideways a little bit. I wasn't getting that much. Sometimes, I mean, the bike's moving all around and you're like, putting your foot down sometimes helps save it if you get a little bit too much, too squirrely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't have enough torque to do that. So like when you come in, you kind of tuck in the front, and it's like, oh wow, I can save that. That's incredible. Let me show you that lap that I was telling you just a second ago, because you mentioned 25-second. Great, 25-second like lap times, and that was pretty interesting. I thought, because I actually don't know. So that's okay. So
well, this is also from stopped.
Yeah. And then, so these are the two guys that just took off. That's Keaton, by the way, actually, the guy that let me use his XR100 right up in the front.
Nice. Going through the curve, and he's about to complete a lap.
Yeah, 34 seconds. Yeah, just about. All right, let me stop sharing here. But yeah, that's 20. So I think you were doing really good times, but you were like, I don't know, 30 horse down on the other supermotos, right?
Yeah, so they all have 450s, and they have slick tires. They have racing slicks with tire warmers. I'm not running tire warmers. I'm on OEM tires that came from Kawasaki. They're called Road Winner is the brand. I've never heard of them. And I think the tires are kind of holding me back now. I've been messing with the tire pressure, trying to get a good feel for it. I think I got a pretty good feel. It's much higher than a race tire would be. I looked online for pressures. There's no like race pressures for Road Winner tires that I could find for. I think I have a 110 front and a 130 rear, so it's pretty narrow sizes.
Well, that's actually not a problem, right? Like if it's the width, because if you look at like Moto, what is it, Moto 2, even Moto 3, they're like this thin, right?
Yeah, they're pretty narrow.
The contour is what matters on a race tire, because that allows you to lean and be on the side of the tire more. Your tires were kind of like, square from road use, and then just like this much contour, so you couldn't really lean too much, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I think the tire did pretty good for,
Yeah, it was consistent. It was not unpredictable. It was, I wouldn't say easy to use. I did drag my knee quite a few times. I was happy to say it was much more difficult to drag your knee on that bike than it is a normal sport bike. I think you're up much higher, and the tire doesn't feel as stable at full lean.
Hmm.
There's actually a couple times where I was like taking a different line, maybe going around someone, and I 100% tucked the front, and I'm like, oh, I'm crashing. This is not good, and I quickly like stood the bike up, and it saved itself. Where I was like dragging foot peg, dragging toe, and I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
not good, and just try to stand up real quick, and it righted itself every time. I think it happened maybe 3 or 4 times where I thought I was gonna lose the front, and
Hmm.
it saved itself. So it was predictable. It was just after that, it's like I can't really push the front very much harder than that. It's just gonna keep doing that. So there's a
Yeah.
limit on a bike like that with the tires and a completely stock bike. But it's still fun, doing 2.5 hours out there on a kart track for $70 is like, that's great. I
Yeah,
can't
you
ask
can't
for
beat it.
much more than that.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, and even if you did the whole entire 2 days, I think it was like 140 or something like that, or maybe 160. I'm not sure exactly. And that's a reasonable price for 2 days. Because
I'd say so.
you rode like Great Lakes Supermoto track started maybe a little late. I think it was like noon or 1 or something like that, but it went up to like 10 p.m.
Right.
So it's like legit 10 hours of riding, a lot of riding, and not just a track, like the dirt track and the flat track combined. That was so much fun.
That was
So
my
much fun.
first time ever on a flat track, and I got to say that was really cool. I even told Will, I said, "Man, I would do an entire track day just on the flat track with nothing else." He's like, "If we're here, you're welcome to use it anytime." So I'm sure that goes for anybody. Um,
Hmm.
and if there's somebody's using the full track, just be mindful of when someone enters and exits, and kind of probably stay a little bit lower on the
Hmm.
apron, and you'll be fine.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and it's really respectful passing. Like we're out there with 9-year-olds and 60-year-olds, and sometimes full-on professionals will come, and sometimes it's somebody's first day ever at the racetrack, and we're
Hmm.
all in the same group. And you could say, well, that's probably dangerous, but it's respectful. Nobody's out there like trying to knock someone down on a pass. I'm sure it can happen. It probably does happen here and there, but you're going at most. I think I saw 54 maybe miles an hour, and I'm on a
You think?
300. So
Yeah.
if you're on a 100, you're maybe going 40, maybe. I don't know.
I actually have GPS data. I think I clocked 45.
45. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
it's surprisingly fast. I tell you that much. Let me
Not too far off. I mean, so you guys could probably actually go around the corner faster than I am because you might have less weight.
um you can corner a little faster because you have to keep the momentum, but there was some occasions where I tried to push as much as I could that tire, and um, those tires are good, overall good tires, but they do let you kind of chatter a little bit, and because the XR100s are kind of like a very stuck bike, it doesn't really um, like it doesn't have any suspension work. It doesn't have anything. So the tire is doing a lot of work, like trying to flex, trying to put the heat, turning as well. So it's okay. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So if I share this with you really quick, yeah. Let me share my screen really quick. Yeah, 41 mile an hour,
There you
and
go.
that's just like you know, that's the basically the top of that straightaway. That was a lap right after starting, so your tires are not warm or anything, so you're not really taking this turn as fast as you could. But 41 mile an hour, that's not too bad. And you were 45, you said?
I think 50 something.
50?
Yeah.
50? Yeah, I mean, it's 10 mile an hour difference. That's huge. Um, but these tires, I think they're Mitas. I think that's what they are, and they're overall good tires. But when you're trying to push it, they definitely let go because these bikes don't have any suspension work. You cannot even adjust the preload or anything like that. So the tire is doing a lot more than any other bike would do on the same tire. So you kind of don't corner as fast. You want to corner, wide open, but realistically, you can't.
There's always a limit on the traction. And so,
Yeah.
what are you wearing out there? What kind of gear are you wearing when you go on the racetrack?
So I wear a Dainese Puma race suit. This is an older race suit, and with Dainese boots, the booty that goes inside the suit. That's
Okay.
I tried. I had a Technique before suit with Technique boots and also Puma Dainese boots that went over, and that was just so difficult to put on.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, something will be uncomfortable. The booties have like really good support. I have a few fractures on my foot from a racing accident, and after you go through something like that, you really learn what kind of support you want. And I know you've done some snowboarding, so it's kind of similar to snowboarding, where you want to keep your foot basically this way with a little bit of motion this way, but nothing like this, right? So uh, I study a lot onto what gear was the best for the money, and the booty that goes inside the suit was the best one, the better one.
Okay.
Um, for twisting, and it has the most mobility as well. So it was like breaking it in, it wasn't an issue. Um, and then gloves, I don't know, whatever is cheapest because they never last.
Right. You know, it's
Yeah.
funny you say that. I actually just took in a pair of my gloves I was wearing at that event to the tailor today, a couple hours ago, because I had a hole in one of the fingers. I'm not sure if it was from a crash or my finger just poked through it or the seam just popped out for whatever reason. But it's just I think the middle finger, and it just needs to be resewn, and then
Hmm.
there's a little scuff on the pinky that's kind of ripped, but
Hmm.
there's still leather underneath it. So I said, could you just fix it up a little bit, make it look a little nicer? And
Hmm.
I should be able to pick it up Friday. He said $15. I'm like, that sounds great. Like I mean, I'm sure I could try to figure it out. It'd take me 6 hours to try to sew something myself, but actually, it was a tailor place said, sorry, we can't do it. They have a shoe repair place next door that's kind of the same thing, but heavier duty
Hmm.
uh, repairs. So they said the shoe repair place can do it.
Yeah, actually, I need to send my suit to someone because the seam is open on the right side. So I was
Oh,
very
no.
thankful that this track was all lefts. There's only the one right turn, and I just put like duct tape.
Well, I mean, you can high side and you don't know where you're going to land or how you're going to land.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But you know, these are the surprises that you encounter when you don't use your gear for over 6 months, which
Oh, yeah.
was last time I rode. It's like, oh, it's been so long, right?
Yeah.
So you
And
like,
my suit is I'm wearing this Alpine Stars right now, but
hmm,
it's an Atom suit. It's a great suit, but it doesn't fit me as well as it should. It's an off the rack. It's not custom suit,
hmm,
so the thighs should be like an inch or two longer.
hmm,
'Cause I'm like 6 feet tall, and
hmm,
so this suit is I think a 38-48 euro. So
hmm,
it's fairly tight. I mean, it's meant for someone who's probably a little shorter than me. So
hmm.
my knees, when I'm done with the weekend, like the tops of my knees feel like all the hair is ripped off of them, and there's big red marks.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember talking to you about that in the track. Yeah, my Dionysus suit is kind of similar, like that. I think the knee, so they have like I think it's steel armor, like a little plate, and that plate is so uncomfortable when you're leaning. Like you feel that so much, and also for me, especially the forearms. Like I get a band all around the forearm because I get like arm pump. The arm grows inside the suit, and the suit doesn't allow it to like it constrains it because it's got like a plate here, and man, that's so uncomfortable. I talked to uh, uh, I forget his Darwin from Envy Racing, and I had him measure me for a custom suit, and I said, take measurement for both my feet because they're different widths, and my arms especially, and he said, yeah, we usually go with the bigger one. So I was like, oh, okay, the more you know, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, all of the shelf suits are okay when you're starting, but once you start pushing things, no, you need something custom.
Yeah. And I'm actually a Revit dealer, authorized
Hmm.
dealer of the brand Revit with exclamation. So I should be buying that next. I mean, I should be wearing what I sell, right?
Yeah, try it out. See
Good
if you
advertising.
can. Yeah, see if you like it. See what the comparison is with the Alpina Star.
Yeah, and I mean it's used in MotoGP, so it
Hmm.
can't be bad stuff. And that's what I'm using for my street jacket now. I got a Revit textile jacket. Although I
Hmm.
probably should have went with the leather jacket because it's damn cold in Michigan in the morning sometimes. It's like I got to wear layers upon layers underneath, and then put my jacket on.
Have you ever tried like heating pads, like the ones that you put in your hands and just like put them around?
I mean, I've used hand warmers and stuff for like snowboarding, but I've always thought the Final Destination scenes where you're gonna get like caught on fire or something, like electrical malfunction. Like I'm sure it'll be fine, but um, that's what always comes to mind.
Yeah, yeah. As far as suits go and stuff like that, like I said before, and I stand by that. If you're starting going by something that is already made, right? You cannot go wrong with that. There's a pretty high standard nowadays for just about anything, but once you get into that, the second or third year of racing, you really want to get something a little heavier duty, I guess, right? More tailored to you. Also, you know, yeah, the suit will be a lot heavier, right? Because it's going to be thicker and it's going to have more crash protection. But that's because you're gonna need it. You're gonna start crashing a little more, and
I'm not quite sure who crashes more. Is it novices just figuring out what the limit is and trying new things, or is it experts really trying to push the pace and find a limit of traction? It's a
I
little bit
think
of
experts.
both
I,
sometimes.
I think experts because their crashes are less eventful, but nevertheless there are crashes, right? So when a lot of, especially from South Florida mini GP, I see all the kids. Their suits, they're all trashed within a month or two after they get them, and that's because they're really exploring the side of the tire a lot. And if it rains, they're in slicks, and they still go out and they're fast, and yeah, they have a little crash. Nothing eventful. Maybe a handlebar that is bent or something. But they are the ones, like people with more experience, that are pushing a little bit harder. The tires and the bikes crash more often, but that's to say they crash and it's uneventful, right? It's like you low side it. Nothing happened to you. You're just like, oh, I scraped my new boots or my glove or my suit, right? Nothing else happened. So those they can crash. I don't know, 6 times in a race weekend. Like I was in Road America. We're actually talking about this, and I was with Avery Dreyer from the Junior Cup, so the Ninja 400 racing, and the Harleys. So it was wet, it was raining, and the Harleys, like Harleys do, they dump oil, right? And they did it for a few laps, and so Avery had a few incidents where he went off the track. His suit was good, but certainly used.
Oh yeah, it's gonna get some use out of it
Yeah.
and some scrape marks. And thankfully, there are wonderful people at the racetrack who will help you fix your race suit at a professional weekend. The guys of Bison, I'm good friends with, and
Mhm.
they will repair any brand of suit. You bring it to them, they have a slot open to work on it, they'll do their best to get it fixed for you at the track for all Moto America rounds. And they do support series with WERA and CCS, I believe other series as well as they can fit them in. They're just traveling track to track with a custom race suit company. So if you are looking for a custom suit, Bison Leathers is a great place to be. Robert and Tasha Lackey are just traveling the country, fitting people, measuring all the time, and they can do any design you want. They have all kinds of different patterns, and you can put your own images on the leather. It's all completely custom, and even for the stretch panels, you can like change whatever you want on it. It's completely customizable, and I think their price point's $1,000. So it's like, how can you beat that for a custom suit?
Yeah, I think that's more or less the price point for other people also in the industry. I think that's just kind of like an industry standard. I've seen a couple of the Bison suits, and I think they seem very high quality. But to my point was, in a race weekend. So Avery is obviously Moto America, and he's doing this as entry level Moto America. So you can say entry level professional, right? I think.
Yeah.
He crashed, or he didn't crash. He had a few incidents that tested the suit at least three times, I think. So three times in a weekend, right? So you're putting to use that suit 3 times in a weekend when you're exploring, new tracks or trying to push, or I don't know, the Harley just dump out a lot of oil in the track, right?
And it's a good idea if you're traveling all the way across the country to maybe bring a backup suit as well.
Oh yeah. Most racers do. Yeah, they have gloves and helmets, and because you do, need them. They get wear.
Washington, you better have an extra suit, otherwise you're done for the weekend.
Yeah. That would be a long trip to finish your weekend without a suit. That would be kind of detrimental, I think. Yeah. But what do you think? So obviously, in like super bikes and like bigger bike track days, the suit gets used less, right? Gets abused less, I should say. But in little bikes, man, you can. This is from personal experience. In one race, I crashed 2 times in the same race.
In the supermoto?
Yep, little bikes. Yep.
I haven't actually really done the minis, so I can't speak too much on the minis. I'd say the 300 is just enough to not be called a mini. Yeah, when I watched some of the indoor stuff when they were doing on the polished concrete surface over at Cart to Cart, and now it's called Full Throttle Adrenaline Park. They were crashing all the time. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. I mean, they were going like 15 miles an hour or less probably when they were crashing. They're just kind of spinning around, doing a pirouette, and picking up their bike and laughing it off. So yeah. I didn't see anybody get hurt. Now the supermoto stuff, you could probably get hurt a lot easier because there's bigger jumps. And anytime you lose control on a motorcycle, it's not going to be good. And so that's a highly slick environment. I don't know the right way to say it. It's very risky to be doing flat track with slick tires. But that's what the thing is. That's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to figure out, how to use slick tires in this environment and get away with it lap after lap after lap. And it's not like a luck thing. It's like there is a method to do this. There's a right and a wrong way, and you just have to learn like the right process. And it's different than road racing. It's a different body position. It's a different way to enter the corners. You're not using your front brake, hopefully, at all. Otherwise, you're going to find out real soon what that does. It's rear brake, it's downshifting, it's coasting, it's engine braking. It's, I locked up my rear tire a couple of times going into the flat track section. It's like, oh, guys.
The right-hander.
Yeah, I was like, oh, don't do that. It's like you realize, you got to be even smooth with your downshift in the dirt. Otherwise, it's going to lock up the tire, or it's going to, it's going to want to downshift too fast, and it's going to maybe hop the tire because
Mhm.
I don't think I have a slipper clutch.
Slipper clutch. Yeah.
It's just hopping when I do that.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as the supermoto tires, they're slicks. You're right, but they do have grooves, especially in the
Some of
center.
them, not all of them.
Um,
Like
I,
I think Jeff and Sean are on full slicks, and maybe even Will. Some of the guys are on full slicks, but like my tires have siping the grooves for the rain.
mhm. So, but it's very common to actually in supermoto and same in flat track to cut more grooves because those grooves give you traction. But the stuff that we were doing, so I took a TTR 150 on full slicks. I think they were 17-inch onto the dirt, and surprisingly, you have a lot of grip. You do. You don't have grip when you accelerate because that's you don't have anything to grab against. There's no knobs. But when you turn, it's just surprisingly how much traction you have. So it's very deceiving. Now, if you have to stop, yeah, you kind of have to create friction, right? So like brake sideways, right? Let it slide sideways, and that's kind of how you stop. So I wish I had the footage. Maybe some other time we can talk about that. Um, but when I was the dirt section into the flat track section, there was a right-hander, very tight right-hander. I very quickly realized that I can downshift to first gear and aggressively releasing the clutch will make the rear hop because also I don't have the XR doesn't have a slipper clutch, but it will put you in a favorable position for accelerating. So you can actually control how much turning you're doing with first gear acceleration coming and then going into a flat track. And I think a lot of the faster guys they were doing also the same because they there was two grooves. There was an outside groove and there was an inside groove. The second you put your front tire in there, you're good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird in the dirt. I'm not used to it quite yet, where there's only two lines. Like you can kind of make your own, but it's going to be really bumpy if you try to do that.
Yeah,
And so you really are kind of forced to use the high line or the low line sometimes.
yeah. So let me ask you this. So we've been doing a lot of talking about racing and gear and bikes and stuff like that. Are you going to do some more rounds of Great Lakes Supermoto or potentially physical OMRL, Ohio Mini Racing League? I think it's what it's called. Are you doing any of that?
So I haven't done any OMRL yet. My schedule is pretty full this year. Um, so I can't really commit to anything else. I think there might be some dates in September I can hit for Great Lakes Supermoto. But I think the next 6 or so weekends I'm doing MSF coaching. And this past weekend I did some MSF coaching. So getting people their license to ride in the street and doing the training for that all weekend, Saturday, Sunday usually, for about 12 hours each day, it seems like. And so I'm trying to make money in the motorsports industry with being a rider coach now. So I'd like to be riding and racing and doing my own thing, but I also need to make money, and I'm trying to do that with motorcycles. So I'm still enjoying it. It's just a little different.
Right.
So I'm doing that, and then I'm also going to be at least 3 weekends for Moto America. I'll be at Pittsburgh. I'll be at New Jersey, and I should be at Barber, and I probably do the Race of Champions for Daytona, for CCS.
CTS, races, yeah.
And then last year I did the WERA Grand National Finals, so I might do that again. And there's a whole bunch of other flagging events I can do. There's 2, I think, at Blackhawk for one for ARMA, which is like a 4-day weekend. I think actually it starts on maybe Thursday. And then there's another one for CCS Blackhawk. So, and there's a couple others that I haven't even mentioned. So there's a whole lot of weekends I'm trying to do and make money at flagging for being a track marshal that I won't be able to ride, unfortunately. But actually, I might be able to ride this weekend. I have ability to ride at Grattan for Sport Bike Track Time, track day I have it open Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No, I'm sorry. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. With the holiday weekend coming up, today
Yeah,
is
July 4th,
June 28th,
28th. Yep.
2022. So this will come out in probably a couple days or a week or so. But
Mhm.
I'm looking for a motorcycle. I have a lead right now on a 600cc bike that's race ready to go, but the guy is maybe a little hesitant on it, letting me take it this weekend. It's just bad timing, I think. But he allowed me, or is told me that I could ride his bike at some point. So I'm really hoping it's this weekend. If not, I'm gonna try to. If not his bike, I'm gonna try to secure another motorcycle because I don't own a 600cc race bike at the moment. So I have to mooch
Mhm.
on someone else and see if I can give him a cash deposit and maybe a daily rate on top of that, plus paying for fuel, and I could buy tires too.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm really trying to get back on the racetrack and do some big bike stuff as well.
Mhm.
And the reason is I have a potential in with a unnamed track coaching organization.
Organization. Yeah. Yeah, we
Um,
talk about this. Yeah.
so I had the interview and it went really well. It was like
Did it?
it was like 70 minutes long. So
Oh,
uh,
good.
all
70
good
minutes.
all good stuff, and it was like a Zoom call. And
Mhm.
so now the deal is I have to take their course, do the whole thing as a student for one day, and then
Mhm.
at the end of the day, tap one of the lead instructors on the shoulder and say, "Hey, I'm ready to be evaluated on my riding ability." And so they'll evaluate you on like your behavior, like how are you as a person, like can you be teachable and coachable? Are you an asshole? Like all these different things. Can you be a good team player? Do you know about bikes? Can you actually ride? Are you up to
Mhm.
par with your riding ability? So I want to do a track day before all that, a track day weekend, get the cobwebs out, get back up to pace a little bit, and then do that weekend, get evaluated, and then possibly be um, a real motorsport coach for racetrack stuff and riding. So that's really
Mhm.
my dream job is to do that full time and get paid to do it. And there's different levels of coaching levels that you can be that you have to get certified for, and
Mhm.
different pay rates for each level.
Mhm.
It's like a full time job if you get to the top tier. So
Yeah,
uh,
it can be fun. Yeah, for sure.
they're doing almost 3 months of on track activities throughout the year. So all around the country, be flying out and riding and coaching. So that is my number one thing on my radar right now. So if I can get some cobwebs out this weekend and secure a bike, that would be my dream come true.
Mhm.
Um, so I know you probably don't have one in the garage, but I know a couple people who I've had some good relations with that I'm maybe gonna see if I can get a favor from. And
Mhm.
obviously, if there happens to be any tip overs, I would pay for any crash damage, and I have access to all these parts anyway, so I get costs on everything, so that
Mhm.
helps.
Yeah, for sure that helps. Well, unfortunately, I don't have at the moment. Also, I don't have a race-ready motorcycle. And that has been the case for a number of years, actually, especially for anything for the big track. However, what I've done is I rented some motorcycles for the track, and yeah, they were a little expensive, but race ready, you know, properly taken care of, and it was really fun, like built engines, full suspension, like better than anything I ever owned.
Now, did you go through like a company or did you go through a person like a friend?
No, so well, both. I mean, it's a company person and a friend. This is forget the name of the company nowadays. This is it. It's German Vaca out of Hollywood, Florida. He has a shop and he has rental bikes ready to you know, and he brings them to the track and you kind of just fit in with him and it's ready to go. Now, again, it's expensive, but he's bringing all these things. I don't know. I just moved to the Midwest, so I don't really know anything around here.
Sure, no problem. But
Uh,
that's my next task for the few days is if I'm riding his bike, I got to buy fuel. It's like a 110 octane non-ethanol that he mixes with, I think, maybe a 93. It ends up being like 103. So he's got a special fuel mapping for it all. So it's
Hmm.
pre-mapped, ready to go race bike, national champion winning bike. So it's
Oh,
top of the line,
yeah,
ready to go.
yeah. That's probably going to be really fun.
Heck
But
yeah.
worst case scenario, you can take your bike, the
I
KLX.
guess I could, but I was thinking, man, I'd be halfway down the straightaway, like screaming, bouncing off the rev limiter.
Just gear it. You know,
Yeah.
put different gearing and put tires and enjoy what you have. If Why not?
Yeah, I would definitely want to have different tires on that bike if I took it to Grattan, because that's the limiting factor right now. Is the tires are just not enough grip, not enough heat in them. I would definitely want that. So that's maybe an option is to take
Hmm.
that bike, but it would not be ideal. I'd much rather have a sport bike.
I understand, but like you'll be surprised when you're in slower bikes, you really see how slow people really are in the braking zones and in the turns, and you kind of make a mental note of that. And then it's like when you go to a faster bike, you're like, oh, I don't need to brake as hard here. I just can just turn in really hard, and they usually stick.
Usually, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, but I've been riding in my backyard lately. I have a fairly big backyard. I have like a kind of a woods section next to it. And so a couple years ago I made a mountain bike course. During the COVID times I got kind of bored, and so I started doing that. And then I took out the KLX out there and doing the same course, trying to make another couple of paths here and there. But it's pretty fun. I mean, it's a tight and twisty course. I'm not really getting out of first gear, but just trying to figure out how to go from grass to dirt to stumps and rocks and tree roots. And then I
Hmm.
have a little bit of elevation up this one part, and then I got to go through the trees. That's like I have maybe like a half an inch on each side of my handlebars. It's extremely tight. So I'm
Uh,
using some rear brake and some clutch control, and just trying not to hit my hands on the trees as I go by, and brushing shoulders sometimes. Uh,
yeah.
it's fun. It costs me nothing, and it's like I almost don't want to move now because I've built this course in my backyard. Which I mean, I could build a course anywhere, but how often is it going to be 50 feet from your doorstep?
Not very often, that's for
My
sure.
bike's so quiet, no one's complaining.
Yeah.
Um, and so there is a dead end street that I sometimes go on to make my loops. That's
Yeah.
right next to it. I'm
Yeah.
trying to make the course so I don't even have to go on the street. I
Yep.
have to like clear some more brush to do that, but it's getting
You can just put a big jump.
there. Yeah,
Just
that's
cross
an
the street
option.
on.
It has to be a pretty big gap there. There's a whole bunch of trees in the way I got to move around, but that's an option I hadn't thought of.
Yeah, put a big jump. Ah, man, fun stuff. Yeah. So this weekend, so it's 4th of July weekend. So again, I'm currently in Indiana, and I'm thinking of driving down to Florida because I really miss riding, and I've been looking at the market of for like a quote unquote cheap race ready motorcycle pit bike or XR 100 or something like that. And my, there is the market is terrible here, or at least in the Midwest or the 250-mile radius of me, and that goes pretty long. And either the bikes are a little too expensive, or they are really beat up, or they need a lot of work and are really beat up. So I'm not looking for a project. So I finally said, it's the same money to go back home, drive with the gas prices the way they are, as high as they are right now, pick up my bike and bring it here so I can at least enjoy half of the season. And just this afternoon, I was trying to put a racing schedule together. And I know you mentioned that you might be interested in doing some endurance. And I'm fitting in a 4-hour endurance race in that schedule.
And
It's
what
that
what class?
um, well, this is pretty interesting because it's supposed to be a parent-child kind of endurance race. So my partner last year was a good friend of mine. So I was riding a little Z50 with an 88, and that thing was super fast. But at some point, it got a little tired. You got a little bit of heat, and so I was like, oh, I don't want to destroy the engine, so let me just pull it in. But the year prior, I did it with Ella Dreher, and she was so fast. So this year we're probably going to do it again, and this is in Georgia. This is at Herring Compound.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's I think South Florida Mini GP is going to be hosting the event, and it's a 4-hour race. So the class is not a class like in where you have like a sportsman or whatever. This is more like your teammate is in a really small bike and you're also in a small bike. And I think the CC displacement is stock 100. So it's like a XR 100, a TTR 125, a Honda Grom or CRF 110, that kind of stuff. And for the smaller bike, it's going to be either I think it's a 50cc CRF 50 or something like that. And so that makes for a really entertaining racing because they come out of the track and then go in, they have to come and find you, and then you have to officially put the transponder on your bike, and it's all sorts of emotions and people running around the starting line, and I think it happens to be also in Halloween, so I think there is some Halloween events also around that 4-hour endurance race. So I'm pretty excited for that.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. It should be a good time, and maybe some costumes. People riding.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if you're available for that or not, but that's an endurance race.
And when is that happening again?
Well, don't you know I have a spreadsheet for that?
Couple weeks or a couple months?
It's late this year. Let me see. It's October 15 and 16.
Oh yeah, you said around Halloween, so that might work. We'll see what happens around then. I keep that in mind.
Yep.
But we have already gotten over 70 minutes ourselves, actually, so we could probably wrap this up. I still have to see if I can upload some items, and I've already shipped orders for today. It's already 7 p.m. and I already did a podcast earlier, so
you're fully booked.
I'm booked. So
yeah.
Thank you for coming on and talking to me, and me learning about your story. You're learning about mine a little bit. For anybody interested in some parts or products or gear, head over to ericswanracing.com and shopesr.com. Most of our items start on eBay, then they go to Amazon, listing on there, and then we put them on our website, shopesr.com. So check them all out. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be sure to get this edited and posted real soon.
All right, man.
I'm sure I'll see you at the racetrack, and thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And maybe we should do a second part of this.
Yeah, for sure. Usually I try to wait a year so I don't overlap guests too often. So let's try to follow up in a year or so and see what the update is.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.